General Hospital comings and goings. Valentin exits. Anna stays. Welcome to my channel General Hospital, where you can get news about. For more information, kindly subscribe and follow, and I am your buddy. Now let's get started. General Hospital comings and goings confirm Valentin Cassadine is out while his darling, Anna Devane, remains in town even though she doesn't want to lose him. Also, another character exits and two fanfaves return to GH. Check out the newest casting updates for the ABC Sudzer. General Hospital comings and goings. Valentin Cassadine takes Charlotte and runs. GH comings and goings see Valentin Cassadine fleeing Port Charles with his daughter, Charlotte Cassadine, in tow. Recently, Anna Devane began a mission to expose Valentin as the leader of pikeman security. Indeed, she thought she could see it through despite her deep feelings for him. Of course, she couldn't bring herself to turn him into the FBI without warning him first, so that he could make a quick getaway. Port Charles was a town of secrets, heartbreaks, and unyielding loyalty. The latest buzz around General Hospital had sent waves through the small, close-knit community. Valentin Cassadine, a man who had been both hero and villain, was preparing to make his exit. Meanwhile, the indomitable Anna Devane was determined to stay, holding on to the life and people she loved. The contrast between their journeys was stark, and the stories they left behind were just beginning to unravel. Chapter 1. The announcement. It was a typical morning at General Hospital. Nurses scurried through the halls, doctors barked orders, and the ever-present hum of medical machinery filled the air. The staff was used to the whirlwind of emotions that came with their work, but today's news added an extra layer of tension. Dr. Hamilton Finn was in the middle of his rounds when he saw Anna Devane standing by the nurses' station, her expression a mixture of concern and determination. He knew something was up. Anna was rarely one to show her emotions so openly. "Anna, what's going on?" Finn asked, approaching her with a gentle touch on her arm. Anna turned to him, her eyes searching his face. "It's Valentin. He's leaving Port Charles." Finn's eyebrows shot up in surprise. "Leaving? Why?" Anna sighed, her shoulders sagging slightly. "He's been talking about it for a while now. With everything that's happened, he thinks it's best for him to start fresh somewhere else." Finn nodded slowly, understanding the weight of Valentin's decision. The man had been through hell and back, facing enemies from all sides and struggling with his own demons. "What about you?" he asked softly. Anna's eyes hardened with resolve. "I'm staying. I have too much to fight for here." Valentin Cassadine stood in the shadow of Windermere, the imposing Cassadine mansion that had been both his refuge and his prison. He gazed out over Spoon Island, taking in the view one last time. His decision to leave was not made lightly, but the time had come for him to step away from the life he had known. As he walked through the halls of Windermere, memories flooded back. He remembered his first days here, filled with anger and a thirst for revenge. He had come a long way since then, building relationships he never thought possible. But the shadows of his past were always lurking, and he knew he couldn't escape them while staying in Port Charles. Valentin's thoughts were interrupted by the sound of footsteps. He turned to see Nina Reeves approaching, her expression a mix of sadness and understanding. "You're really leaving," Nina said softly, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. Valentin nodded, his heart heavy. "I have to, Nina. It's the only way I can find peace." Nina reached out and took his hand, squeezing it gently. "I'll miss you, Valentin. You brought so much into my life." He smiled, a rare genuine smile that reached his eyes. "And you brought light into mine. I won't forget that." They stood in silence for a moment, savoring the bittersweetness of their farewell. Valentin knew this was the right choice, but that didn't make it any easier. Across town, Anna Devane was preparing for her own battle. While Valentin was choosing to leave, Anna was more determined than ever to stay and fight. She had faced countless adversaries in her life, and she wasn't about to back down now. As she walked through the halls of General Hospital, she felt a renewed sense of purpose. Her mind flashed to her daughter, Robin, and her granddaughter, Emma. They were her reasons for staying, her anchors in this turbulent world. Anna's thoughts were interrupted by the arrival of her longtime friend and confidant, Robert Scorpio. He gave her a knowing look, his eyes filled with concern. "I heard about Valentin," Robert said, his voice low. Anna nodded, her jaw set in determination. "He's leaving, and I'm staying." Robert studied her for a moment before nodding in agreement. "You always were the stubborn one, Anna." She chuckled softly, a hint of sadness in her eyes. "I have to be, Robert. There's too much at stake." Together, they walked through the hospital, discussing the latest developments in their ongoing battle against the forces that threatened their beloved town. Anna knew she wasn't alone in this fight, and that gave her the strength to keep going. The ripple effect. Valentin's departure sent shockwaves through Port Charles. His absence was felt by many, from his enemies who breathed a sigh of relief, to his allies who mourned the loss of a formidable friend. Among those most affected was his daughter, Charlotte. Charlotte Cassadine was a bright, spirited girl who adored her father. The news of his departure hit her hard, and she struggled to understand why he had to leave. She found solace in the company of her grandmother, Laura Collins, who tried her best to explain the complexities of adult decisions. "Your father loves you very much, Charlotte," Laura said gently, holding the girl close. "He's doing this to protect you and to find a better life for himself." Charlotte sniffled, wiping away her tears. "But why can't he stay here with me?" Laura sighed, wishing she had a simple answer. "Sometimes people need to leave to find themselves. It's not because he doesn't love you. It's because he wants to be the best version of himself for you." Meanwhile, Anna's decision to stay brought a sense of stability to those around her. She continued to work tirelessly at General Hospital, her presence a beacon of hope for patients and staff alike. She also intensified her efforts in the ongoing investigations that had plagued Port Charles, determined to bring justice to those who needed it most. New beginnings. As Valentin prepared to leave, he made one last stop to visit his half-brother, Nicholas Cassadine. The two had a complicated relationship, filled with betrayal and attempts at reconciliation. But in this moment, they found common ground. "I wish things could have been different between us," Valentin said, his voice heavy with regret. Nicholas nodded, his own emotions conflicted. "So do I, but maybe this is the fresh start you need." Valentin extended his hand, and Nicholas shook it firmly. It was a gesture of understanding, if not forgiveness. They both knew the past couldn't be changed, but the future was still unwritten. With that, Valentin boarded a private jet and left Port Charles behind. As the plane took off, he felt a mixture of relief and sorrow. He was leaving behind a life filled with pain and betrayal, but also one with moments of genuine connection and love. He didn't know what the future held, but he was ready to face it head-on. Back in Port Charles, Anna stood at the edge of the docks, watching the sunset. She felt a sense of calm wash over her, knowing that she was exactly where she needed to be. She had faced countless challenges in her life, and she knew there were more to come. But with the support of her loved ones and her unwavering determination, she was ready for whatever lay ahead. Unfinished business. As the days turned into weeks, the residents of Port Charles adjusted to the new normal without Valentin. But his absence left a void, and the repercussions of his departure continued to ripple through the town. Nina threw herself into her work at Crimson, trying to distract herself from the pain of losing Valentin. But no matter how busy she kept herself, she couldn't escape the ache in her heart. She often found herself staring out the window, wondering where he was and if he was thinking of her. Meanwhile, Charlotte struggled to adjust to life without her father. She clung to the hope that he would return one day, but as the days passed, that hope began to wane. Laura did her best to fill the void, but she knew she could never replace Valentin in Charlotte's heart. At General Hospital, Anna continued her tireless efforts to bring justice to those in need. She partnered with Robert Scorpio on several high-profile cases, and their teamwork yielded impressive results. But despite her professional success, Anna couldn't shake the feeling that there was unfinished business between her and Valentine. A glimmer of hope. One evening, as Anna was wrapping up her work at the hospital, she received an unexpected visitor. It was Valentine, looking haggard but determined. "Valentine?" Anna's voice was filled with surprise and concern. "What are you doing here?" Valentine took a deep breath, his eyes locking onto hers. "I couldn't stay away, Anna. There's something I need to tell you." Anna led him to her office, where they could speak in private. Valentine explained that his time away had given him clarity. He realized that running away wasn't the solution to his problems. He needed to face them head-on, and that meant returning to Port Charles.